This is Around and About, focusing on people and events in our community.
Since 1950, the Siskin Children's Institute has been working to improve the lives of children with and without disabilities through education, outreach, and research. The newest addition to the research arm of the organization is Dr. Robin McWilliam, an expert in early childhood intervention and education, and research scientist Dr. Amy Casey. The Siskin Children's Institute is establishing a new research center under the leadership of today's guest, Dr. Robin McWilliam.
Siskin Children's Institute is starting up a new research center called the Siskin Center for Child and Family Research. They have had some research going on over the past couple of years in a particular intervention with children with autism, and that's been conducted by Dr. Tom Buggy, who is a faculty member, the Siskin Endowed Chair at UTC. They decided to really create a center and build up the research component at the Institute, which involved establishing an endowed chair that I have and funding a position for a research scientist who I brought with me from Vanderbilt. We have 3 researchers, and they are dedicating space to us.
Dr. McWilliam has extensive experience in the fields of early childhood development, pediatrics, and special education.
I have been working in the field of early intervention with young children with disabilities and their families really all my career. It began in North Carolina. I actually worked with blind children first, then gravitated to children of all disabilities who are very young, and pretty much have stayed with that area all my career. I went to work with an institute in Western North Carolina for a while. Then I was on the faculty at the University of North Carolina at Chapel Hill, then faculty at Vanderbilt University, and then here at Siskin Children's Institute.
Dr. McWilliam brings several ongoing research projects to the Siskin Center for Child and Family Research here in Chattanooga and hopes to continue his holistic approach to early childhood development.
The usefulness of all of my research is directly tied to how applicable it is. There are other researchers who do more basic kinds of research in labs. At Siskin Children's Institute, they were going to give me some lab space, and I said, I don't need lab space. I need access to real classrooms, which, of course, Siskin Children's Institute has, and we're going to be working in those classrooms and in other classrooms in the community. The focus of our research projects is going to be threefold. One is going to be around the best ways of intervening, otherwise known as teaching and beyond, intervening with young children with and without disabilities. A lot of that research will happen in classrooms. A second type of research is going to be on family support, because children don't get helicoptered into classrooms. They are living in families. And actually, the family is a more powerful influence over a child's well-being and development even than classroom programs are. So we're going to be working with family support as a focus of research. Then a third one is on service delivery models. By that I mean, how is it that professionals actually deliver their services to children in classrooms or in homes? And that is a very sorely needed area, because a lot of the practices that are currently being used are ineffective and too expensive, and it's not necessary that it be that way. There are more effective ways, so we need to study those to get data, and we need to train people.
Early childhood development research indicates that the best results for the child are obtained when services are introduced at the earliest possible time in the child's life. The current system requires early assessment and diagnosis of need to begin intervention services.
Our target group of people that we're doing research with is young children birth through 5 with disabilities or without disabilities, and their families and the professionals who work with them. So think of it as 3 groups really, but it all hinges around young children birth to 5 with or without disabilities. Our research bears on the importance of earlier is better in terms of getting children and their families into interventions as early as possible. We don't try to classify everybody into one of 2 boxes. You have a disability or you don't have a disability. Instead, we want to look at all children as being on a continuum of need and families as being on a continuum of need. So then you don't have to tell a family necessarily that their child has a disability to offer them help, which has been really how our service delivery model has been established in this country. We really are doing research that is going to try to push the envelope to try to get people thinking about the importance of the context of the child, support the family, the neighborhood, the community, so that that all children have access to support, and you don't have to go labeling a kid before you offer help to them, because you're exactly right that early intervention does generally mean earlier is better. However, it's not a critical period the way some people used to think. It's more like a critical window, if you will. If a family isn't ready to get involved with a formal service right now, our ethical obligation is to stay in touch with them, provide them with information, and when they're ready, be there for them.
The Siskin Children's Institute classrooms will provide much of the research data.
One of the very appealing factors of the Siskin Children's Institute as the home for my research and Amy Casey's research, she's my colleague who has come here with me, is that we have classrooms that contain children with and without disabilities. And we also have 2 sites at Siskin Children's Institute. So the one that many people are familiar with is the downtown site, which has in each classroom 50% have disabilities and 50% don't. At our new East Brainerd site, we have more children without disabilities than children with disabilities in each classroom. So we have a variety of contexts when it comes to inclusion. Our view as researchers is we look at the child. The disability is very much secondary. Sometimes children who don't have a disability are actually a greater burden of teaching, as they call it, than a child with a disability. So it's really all about getting every child in the family or in the classroom engaged, independent, and engaged in social relationships. Those 3 things are important for every kind of kid, whether they have a disability or not. So we can approach all children from whatever level they are. If we can make things better in those first 5 years for children, and that means making the systems better too, then that gives them a better start, obviously. We do know, though, from some research that there is a washout effect. So you can't just have great things going on up through age 5 and then the same old, same old. There has to be improvement at all ages.
The Siskin Center for Child and Family Research, under the direction of Dr. Robin McWilliam, will be providing research that hopes to improve the quality of intervention and education services to all children and their families. For more information on the Research Center, visit the web at www.siskin.org or call the center at 423-648-1792. For Around and About, this is Rabbit.
Around and About is a production of WUTC with contributions by the staff and volunteers of WUTC.